Pull yourself up a chair and let's talk about how to find and evaluate a Magento partner agency. Full disclosure, Jamerson is a Magento partner agency, so obviously, I just want you to choose us and make this easy on you. I understand though, we aren't right for everyone, and I want to see you be successful. So I'm going to give you this information, even though it might end up costing me business and hurting my bourbon budget. Let's start with the things that you, as a merchant, need to do to prepare to make this process constructive, and then we'll get into the things you need to find out about the agencies you're considering.
By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail.
The number one thing that you need to do is to document and know exactly what you want. Think through the functionality your site actually needs to have. The more solid and concrete this documentation is, the better off you're going to be. If there's any uncertainty around your requirements, then each conversation you have with an agency could lead to vastly different conclusions, scope, and pricing. In that case, you aren't actually comparing apples to apples.
It's like comparing apples and oranges.
You'll just end up going with whoever best guessed your desired scope and pricing tolerance. That, unfortunately, is the best mind reader, but not always the company that would do the best job. And this doesn't have to be some big formal process, but spend some thought cycles on it, and if you have time to formalize everything, even better. The second thing you need to know is the budget you're actually comfortable with.
I need more money.
Budget is often the thing that most easily and quickly narrows down your options when it comes to an implementation partner. Some of the larger, more accomplished agencies don't take on projects that aren't multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars in budget. But don't get freaked out by that number.
Simmer down now.
There are plenty of smaller agencies that service much smaller budget. The point is, if you know your budget, then you can avoid time-consuming quote processes that have zero chance of moving forward, and instead close in on solutions and partners that might actually work for you. It just saves everybody's time and gets your project on the right track sooner. Once you know what you want and you know what you're willing to pay for it, let's talk about finding and evaluating a partner. I'm going to give you rule number one.
This is the number one rule, okay? This is unbreakable. You can't even try to even bend this rule, all right?
It's literally the only rule I'm going to give you, so it should be easy for you to remember. If you forget everything else in this video, never, ever break rule number one. It's just too risky. Do not choose an agency that is not a Magento partner to do your Magento implementation. Magento is its own animal that can quickly get out of hand. It needs someone who understands that and has experience with the platform. Some may disagree, and I'm completely okay with the criticism. But just notice that those complaining are mostly folks that work at non-partner agencies. I've just seen it go sideways too many times when folks get in over their head. And not to say that can't happen at a partner agency as well, but your odds are better. In Magento land, the partner agencies are called solution partners or solution providers, of which there are 4 tiers: platinum, gold, silver, and bronze. The main difference between them is the higher the tier, the more money the agency is willing to give Adobe, the more licenses they are required to sell, and the more developers they are required to have. And what that basically means is that the higher the tier, the larger the agency, and potentially the more expensive their average project is. It's not always the case.
It wasn't directed at you, I was making a broad generalization.
Some folks just don't like commitment and the requirements that come with a higher tier, and thus don't work their way up the list, and some of those larger agencies may actually take smaller projects. However, I wouldn't use their partner tier status as any indicator as to their capabilities, but it's a clue to the average project size, overhead, and thus their pricing requirements, so use that assumption however you see fit. So how do we go about finding a Magento partner agency? I mean, we just met and you're already asking me about my friends? I see what you're up to.
I think we should take it slow.
There are usually 2 ways folks find us. 1, searching around and finding our content. Feel free to try that approach, but Lord knows what you'll find because only weirdos are creating Magento content. You can also contact Magento directly and they'll make some partner recommendations. Usually those recommendations will be higher up those partner tiers. How high really depends on your budget, but they can guide you to someone who has experience with your special blend of problems. And Magento has a partner directory where you can browse it to your heart's content. Google Magento Partner Directory and I'll post a link in the description. Now that we've found some partners to consider, let's evaluate them. You might as well start with the easy stuff. It's in your best interest to choose a partner in your geography.
Now I have only 3 words to say. Location, location, location.
Communication is important. on a complex project like Magento usually is. It helps if the person running the project is in the same geography that you're in and natively speaks your language. So if you're in the US, then choose a US-based partner. If you're in Europe, choose a European partner. It's pretty simple. And then find out what the agency's core competencies are and ensure that aligns with your needs. Some really specialize in design and marketing, aren't as strong in the technical complexity, and vice versa. Figure out what their average customer looks like and how you compare. Do you want to be an insignificant project for them? Maybe you get their B team, or just a complete lack of effort. On the flip side, do you really want to be the biggest and most complicated project they've ever done?
How about no?
I'd also suggest looking for an agency that puts effort into understanding why. Merchants sometimes, how do I put this politely, make short-sighted decisions. If you get an agency that's just taking orders, then they're going to give you exactly what you asked for, even if that's not exactly what you needed. So for those following along at home, find an agency that's the right size for you, preferably in your geography. Make sure they ask questions to understand the why to your needs and that their core competencies and experiences actually align with those needs. There you go. Now go find some agency to help make your process successful. You made it this far though. You had to think this video was helpful. You might as well go to jamerson.com/go and let us be one of the agencies you're considering. Otherwise, this content is a total failure. Like, what am I doing with my life? If there's something I missed that needs to be considered, share it in the comments for me so everyone that's looking for an agency can see it. It's always a pleasure talking to you, but it's time for me to get back to my bourbon. My name is TJ Campbell, and I'm the CEO and founder of Jamerson, where we help businesses like yours take those next steps in their e-commerce journey. If you're ready to improve your business and looking for help, go to jamerson.com/go, and I look forward to speaking with you. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.